Thanks for coming to visit us at the Springfield Toastmasters. We have an online meeting the second and fourth Tuesday every month at 7 p.m. We're on Zoom channel 172-211-614. Come on and join us. We'd love to see you.
I'd like to welcome each and one of you to the Springfield Toastmasters. I'm Andrew Spiller, and I'll call this meeting to order. I'll now turn it over to our Toastmaster.
That would be Bert Copeland. Yes, I know him. The next part of our meeting, for those of you that are reading the agenda, I hope somebody is, Greg Campbell's going to come up and give the Pledge of Allegiance and inspirational thoughts. Boy, learn to speak, Bert, it's my language. And so here's Craig Campbell.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We're all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon instead of enjoying the roses that are blooming outside our window today. Dale Carnegie. And one more, one who gains strength by overcoming obstacles possesses the only strength which can overcome adversity.
So at this time, we're going to introduce Dewey Holt as the word and joke master. Oh, thank you, Lord. We need a little laughter and levity now. For today's meeting, we'll be enlightened to increase our vocabulary, even if it's with the family dog while we are self-quarantined, and maybe a joke or two to brighten our day or days ahead. Please join me to welcome Dewey Holt. Woohoo! All yours, Dewey. Hello, Dewey. Is Dewey there? Unmute yourself, Dewey. Jeez.
Somebody else coming
There we go.
home.
Hi, whoever's there.
Mute yourself.
And is our word for today. It is an adjective, proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. COVID-19 can be insidious and sometimes without symptoms. Similar words would be stealthy, subtle, sneaking, cunning, crafty. I don't know how we could leave that up for everybody to see it, but that's what it is. Insidious.
Okay. So amuse us.
Amuse us.
Amuse
now.
us.
Yeah.
A little old lady was pulled over by the police.
Okay.
When the policeman ran her license, he saw that she had a carry permit. This sort of caught his attention that an older lady would have a concealed carry permit. Just for the heck of it, he asked her, "Ma'am, do you have a gun in the car?" "Yes, sir. I have a .45 automatic in the glove box." As he was getting ready to ask the next question, she said, "I have a 9mm Glock in the console." He was kind of taken aback, and then she said, "I've got a Model 13 Smith & Wesson 357 Magnum in my pocketbook." He stepped back. "Ma'am, what are you scared of?" She looked back and went, "Absolutely nothing."
I'm going to take a pause for the cause here because the object of this week's meeting was overcoming adversity. And I can tell you as a Red Cross volunteer nurse that I've seen hundreds of people have everything they own wiped out. And you can turn around and talk to them 2 days later and they still have a positive attitude. With the recent things that happened in Nashville, with the tornado that went through, we saw how people work together. In spite of what the media would believe, when people have a problem, they work together to help each other. I've seen that continuously in the Red Cross. And so at this time, now that that was serious, I would like to introduce our first speaker, who is Sherry Holt. She's speaking to us today from the Advanced Manual, and it's Special Occasion Speeches, Project number 3, The Roast. It is with pleasure that I introduce Sherry Holt to take a special slant on the Toastmasters Special Occasion Speech, The Roast. With our current worldwide precautions of the COVID-19 virus, a lighthearted approach to this unprecedented event might just be the medicine we all need to continue our fight against cabin fever. Timer, Sherry will need 3 to 5 minutes. Please help me welcome Sherry Holt.
We are gathered here this evening to honor an occasion that has never happened in recorded, written history before. The sea has caused many, many issues that we are just not aware of. According to the European Union, the proper name for the coronavirus, the China virus, anything else we would like to call it, is SARS, CoV-2. That's the virus that causes COVID-19. We're honoring a microscopic virus this evening and its effects on all of us. But what does Mr. or Ms. COVID-19 look like? Ah, a mental picture here. I think everyone has seen on television Mr. Mayhem. Now close your eyes and think Mr. Mayhem. COVID-19 is an insidious little virus, and it's been sneaking around the whole world. And where have we been for the other 18? I see Mr. Mayhem raising his hand going, I've been here, I've been here. There are 18 other SARS and COVID types of viruses that have been around. However, we have never honored one in quite the same way that we're doing this evening. With cabin fever going on, I really do need to look at my house and think about, is it really cheating, Mr. COVID-19, if I use the Roomba? I don't think he would probably think so. I've also been thinking about, I'm staying home. I'm getting cabin fever. I can't stand it anymore. I need to save money. So why did I go out and spend more rolls of toilet paper? COVID-19 has caused a current situation, but this is our current reality. World War III never happened. The wildfires in Australia did not burn down the planet. And that makes me feel better now. Oh, but now there's something called a coronavirus. An analyst at BlackBook said BlackRock Investments said the coronavirus represents a major external shock. It's akin to a large natural disaster. However, as my mother always tells me, this too shall pass. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping it will pass. I want to share a recent trip I made with the Red Cross with you and see if you can put yourself in the place of the people that I was helping. If you can imagine that you lost your house because of a tornado or something, it's all over and done. It's a one-time deal. It's finished. But the last disaster I went to was the floodings in Illinois, and nobody knows about the floodings in Illinois. There were people that were out of their houses for 90 days. They could see them, they could take a boat to them, but that was it. And I can imagine losing everything, but I can't imagine everything just sitting there for 90 days that there's no way I could get to it. And guess what that community did? That community took these people in and they worked together, just like we've done in every disaster and every other epidemic we've had or any other disaster we've had. Well, now that I've talked about that, it's my wonderful joy to talk to you about Maddie Foster. 5 years ago, Maddie Foster had to make a decision. This decision was not made quickly and decisively, and he second-guessed himself. This was the same decision that all of you had to make. Should I join Toastmasters? Toastmasters is the first choice educational program for people who want a chance to get public speaking experience in a relaxed, supportive environment. People need to learn how to speak, conduct meetings, plan programs, and work on committees, and they need help. Tonight, Maddie will present some instructions from the Better Speaker series in a 10 to 12-minute presentation. Presentations from this series provide new speaking techniques and facts that can help all club members develop their communication skills. This program this evening will be creating an introduction, which will help members focus on the need for effective speech introductions and the process of creating them. I need to work on this. All prepared speeches in Toastmasters require an introduction. A proper introduction of you in your speech is important to the success of your presentation. Maddie will strive to inspire his audience, to a higher awareness of effectively introducing a presenter by appealing to our reason as well as our emotions and by providing examples. The decision to join Toastmasters was what Maddie needed to help develop his communication and leadership skills in the beginning. We will hear tonight how an introduction is important to the success of any speech. It affords me great pleasure to present the Cookeville Toastmasters Club Vice President of Public Relations and the District 63 Club Growth Director, Maddie Foster.
Thank you, Bert. And for this presentation, I'm going to use a PowerPoint. Well, there was a politician who was to introduce another politician as the principal speaker at a big luncheon in Washington. "What can I say about you?" asked the first politician. "Oh, be generous as you like," replied the second. "You won't be under oath." And like that matters these days. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, what is the proper protocol of introducing a speaker? Many speakers are unaware of proper speaking protocol. Not everyone is comfortable with the concept of a speech introduction. An inaccurate or unexpected introduction can fluster even the most prepared speaker. While speech introductions can be challenging to organize and present, they're also a very necessary part of our Toastmasters meetings. Tonight, I will be focusing on the need for effective speech introductions and the process of creating them. A well-crafted introduction enhances a presentation by providing the following: a smooth transition. When members of your club or audience get up to speak, they are about to take on a new role. An introduction defines that role and prepares the audience for a shift from previous activities by refocusing their interest. In this crazy mixed-up world of ours, transitions glue our meetings together and keeps the audience engaged. Proper mindset. Audience members are more likely to appreciate a speech if they are given some background information about the speaker and the topic to be discussed. A skillful introduction can do this as well as set a desired mood or tone. It's tough to be a presenter when your first task is waking up the audience after the person that introduces you has concluded their remarks. Speaker authority. A good introduction helps establish the speaker's expertise or background in the subject. If the subject is education, for example, the introduction should inform us that the speaker has 3 school-age children or is a member of the local school board. Since a speech introduction must be brief, it should be exceptionally well planned. If you have been assigned to present an introduction, your primary consideration is to inform the audience of 3 essential points. The speaker's name. Always say the speaker's name distinctly and clearly, especially at the very end of the introduction. If the name has a tricky pronunciation, confirm the correct way and then write it out phonetically. Pronouncing someone's name correctly can make people feel valued, honored, and respected, and mispronouncing their name creates real problems. Speech topic. Relate the speaker's background and credentials to the speech topic. Then tell how the topic will benefit the audience. Ask yourself why this subject is appropriate for this particular audience. The speech title. The speech titles is typically mentioned at the end of the introduction. Like the speaker's name, it needs to be given special emphasis. Toastmasters Essentials. If you're introducing a fellow Toastmaster at a club meeting, your introduction should also include 3 crucial elements. The speech assignment. Tell the audience if the speaker is speaking from the Competent Communication Manual, an Advanced Communication Series, or in their Pathways Education Program. Announce the assignment number and the title of that assignment. Speech objectives. State the assignment's main objectives and the personal objectives of the speaker. The delivery time. Mention to the audience the time the speech is meant to take. Inform the person operating the timing lights of the timing parameters. Aside from relating practical information, the introductions create a friendly environment for the speaker and a sense of anticipation for the audience. As you draft an introduction, imagine yourself in the position of the speaker. The approach. As speaker, what manner would make you feel appreciated and welcome? The length. Generally, a 30 to 45-second introduction is about right for most Toastmaster manual speeches. Longer speeches may accommodate introductions lasting up to 2 minutes. Remember, your audience members are waiting to hear the speaker. Delivery, rehearse. A polished delivery will engage the audience interest and curiosity. Always ask the speaker what should be included in the introduction, and make an effort to use words and ideas suggested by the speaker. Now, the primary purpose of a speech's introduction is to lead the listener into the speaker's presentation. Now, unless you seek a reputation for being insidious, this is not the time to embellish or prolong the suspense of the audience. When planning the introduction, heed the following don'ts. Don't upstage the speaker. Your task is to turn attention to the speaker, not to yourself. This means eliminating any anecdotes about your experiences, attitudes, and opinions. And don't try to make your introduction too funny. Let the speaker be the star. Don't reveal any details of the speech. An introduction should invite anticipation of the upcoming speech. The contents of a speech should never be previewed in an introduction. You can misinterpret the speaker's focus by presenting a summary and put the speaker at a serious disadvantage. Don't surprise the speaker. Never include information that might embarrass or in some way distract from the speaker's message. As the introducer, you are there to support the speaker and make the person's transition to the lectern as smooth as possible. Don't steal the speaker's material. If the speaker told you a good joke last week at lunch, don't use it. They might have planned to use it in their own speech. Don't praise the speaker's skills. Generous compliments can encourage unreasonable expectations. Let the audience decide the skill of the speaker. We could all introduce Bird as, "This is the funniest speaker you will ever hear," but let the audience make up their own minds. Don't rely on cliches. Your time is much too valuable to clutter it with trite phrases such as, "Fellow Toastmasters, this speaker needs no introduction." Other worn-out expressions to avoid include, "We have with us tonight," or "Without further ado," and "It gives me great pleasure to present." I have heard all of these used by supposedly intelligent people. I wish I had not, and so did the rest of the audience. And don't save the speaker's name until last. Unless you are introducing a mystery guest, don't create false anticipation. Since audiences are usually aware of who will be speaking, incorporating the person's name once or twice before pronouncing it at final time is a far more natural approach. Far from being a solo assignment, the creation of a good introduction is actually a two-way effort between the speaker and the person introducing the speaker. For the benefits of the overall presentation, the speaker has the following responsibilities. Be available to offer speech-related information. An introducer may have pertinent questions for the speakers. Inform the introducer of any special considerations. For example, if a question and answer period is to be included at the end of the speech, this information needs to be incorporated into the introduction. Writing a good introduction is only half the job. The other half includes a relaxed, professional delivery that creates a friendly atmosphere between both the speaker and the audience. To create a pleasant ambiance, the proper etiquette should be followed. Speak to the audience. Primary eye contact should be with the audience members until the speaker's name is mentioned for the final time. Lead the applause. When the speaker's name is stated for the last time, begin applauding. The audience members take their cues from those who have demonstrated authority at the lectern. Shake hands. Once the speaker has reached the lectern, the introducer shakes the speaker's hand. Make sure to wash your hands. You never know who is a carrier. Leave the lectern. The introducer does not cross in front or behind the speaker. Instead, return to your seat by moving in the direction away from the speaker. And show interest. Continue to show interest and involvement throughout the speech presentation, especially if you remain in view of the audience. When the speech has concluded, the introducer is back at the lectern. The introducer may add about 30 seconds worth of summary comments. Speeches, ideas, points of entertainment, how the speech helped, words of thanks and appreciation. Uh-oh. Presenting a complete yet to the point introduction can be deceptively challenging. Deciding what to leave out is just as important as to what to include. Once you have mastered the art of the introduction, you have taken your speaking abilities yet another step forward and earned the gratitude of both speaker and audience members. Mr. Toastmaster.
The next speaker is Bert Copeland. He's a member of the Springfield and Rivergate clubs. He's currently working on a level 5 in visionary communications, and this is where this speech is from. And it's an inspirational speech, and I'm going to try very much to have him inspire you and things that we can think about in these days and how we can thrive during the difficult times. Timekeeper, he will need 5 to 7 minutes. His speech is entitled 3 Talk, 2 Write, 1 Talk. Help me welcome Bert. Fellow Toastmasters, guest, when was the last time you felt really helpless? Other than what we've just been through, one of the times when I felt really helpless was about 1.5 years after my wife had died. I was trying to set up a new life in another state. And because I was in transition, my children were staying with their grandparents. I was rear-ended in a car accident, which laid me up for 11 months with back pain. I was feeling really helpless. Every night I go to bed and I say, man, I do not want to take those pills. I do not want to have to keep going through this. And then my mind, I said, you know, Bert, you used to scuba dive a lot. Why don't you go to the local scuba shop and see if maybe you could get underwater, because when you're underwater, you're weightless. And so I went to the local scuba shop and I told the guy my problem, and he said, I think I can help you. And he helped me get in the equipment. And it was such a relief being free of all that body weight because I was weightless. I liked it so much, I continued to dive and I became an instructor. But at the very beginning of this, when I was feeling really bad, before I started the scuba lessons, remember I was a widower for about 1.5 years. 2 of the women that I was casually dating decided to have lunch together. So I was really feeling bad. I realize this is no comparison to what people are going through these days, but I think about what got me through my time. And what got me through my time was, as I was scuba diving, I set a goal to become an emergency medical technician because of something that happened on a dive boat. And after I became an emergency medical technician, I became a registered nurse. So technically, what happened to me, even though it caused me a lot of pain, it changed my whole trajectory on life. It changed the whole way I did things, because instead of being an agent for Prudential, which I enjoyed, I became a scuba instructor, and then I became a nurse. A lot like the choice everybody faces now. Here's the choice you have now. In the next 30 to 90 days, here's the choices you have. You can sit and binge watch every episode of something on Netflix, or you can set your goal that you want to try and do something that will improve your life. Such as read that self-improvement book, attend somebody's online meetings, because there are a lot of them right now. There are so many things you could do to change your trajectory so that when we come out of this on the other side, you'll have accomplished something. One of the ways that I found very helpful to do this, I call it the 3-2-1 method. Number 3 is talk. And as Toastmasters, we should be pretty good at talking. Well, that's what our job description is. You should talk to all your neighbors and your friends and people that are shut in and your relatives and talk to them. People have been too busy to talk lately. When you see them out eating, they're talking to their phone. They're not talking to you. This is a great opportunity to enhance your speaking skills. The second thing you need to do is write. So the second thing to do is write, and what you're going to do is start a journal where the first thing you do when you get out of bed in the morning is write down things you're appreciative for. Because, oh, I'm alive, I'm awake, I'm still with it, I'm with my family. Even if it's the same thing you repeat every day, you need to write something down in your journal. And you'll find there's a lot of things to be joyful about. And the first thing you need to do before you even get out of bed, because I'm doing it backwards, is before you get out of bed, you need to say to yourself, this is a brand new day. Everything that happened yesterday, it doesn't matter. This is a brand new day. Ask how you can impact the world, the difference you can make, and then give thanks for being able to make a difference. If you do these three things, you'll come out of this not only surviving, you will thrive. Oh, Mr. Toastmaster. Okay, at this time, I would like to introduce our table topics master, and his name is Tom Beasley. He's the Vice President of Public Relations for the Springfield Toastmasters. He's also a high school teacher. Tom enjoys table topics as a way to think on his feet, like when students ask questions that have to be answered quickly and expertly and with few words. At this time, I'd like for you to welcome Tom Beasley as our table topics.
Thank you, Bert. Tonight's table topics sort of follow the meeting's theme, which is looking at adversity. This is a time when we're kind of adverse. We've been out of school since the 12th of March and just got word today we'll be out till about the 24th of April. That's created a lot of adversity for me because I'm beginning, as a lot of my colleagues are, beginning to miss the kids. I miss the day-to-day opportunity, particularly to work with several students. And I know I've already heard from a couple who are really upset because they're in the process of, this will be the last time they get to see a lot of their friends. And there are a lot of those high school sort of mileposts that they won't get a chance to do. We just got word this week, prom's been canceled. They haven't canceled graduation yet, but they've canceled a lot of those activities that those young people heading to make another transition are really had looked forward to. So that's where tonight's topics are going. Topic number 1. Describe for us a time when you faced an obstacle that threatened to change life as you knew it. How did you react and what did you learn?
I had first entered the working world in about 1975 and had spent a year in training at R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. About that time, the nice folks at KKR came in and decided to take over the corporation, and suddenly all us less than X number of years folks were let go. No severance, no nothing. Merry Christmas, maybe you could draw unemployment. That was the time to make a decision. stay in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which was probably very little chance of getting another technician job or relocate. So I loaded up my car and headed to Atlanta. Thankfully, through the school, we had placement services. And within a week or two, we were going on job interviews. Had several interviews that I was interested in, several job offers, but had one that was in a new, wonderful field, at least to me, of high-speed microfilm. And for the next 16 years, after going through much training, much adversity, some poor pay, surprise, we had a job we enjoyed and stayed with for 16 years. Mr. Topic Man.
Question number 2. We're all being asked to sacrifice something during our current times. Describe a time you were asked to make a sacrifice, and what did you learn about yourself and others in that situation?
I can take that one. So the question is a time when I sacrificed something and what did I learn about myself?
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting one. I'll tell you, when I was working at TVA, and I had worked at TVA for many, many years, about almost 27 years, loved my job. I had been in one job in procurement for most of that time. At the very end, I had switched to another department and I was in training for the first time. And it's something that I had not done in several years, but that I was really enjoying. I was training engineers. And I not only got to train them, I also got to write the material that we were training on. So it was real exciting for me. And then came the RIF. We call it RIF, reduction in force. Most people call it a layoff. And they were laying off a lot of people. Now, I'd been there many years, so chances are I probably could stay. I could move from department to department, different jobs. You always had rights to roll back and things like that. So I had a good opportunity to remain at TVA, to continue working as long as I wanted to work and see where that led me. Maybe even move to a different department and take another job, which is not a bad idea. I ended up accepting the RIF. In other words, volunteering to go in someone else's place. And I did it for a lot of reasons. It was good for me, but it was also good for someone else. And I ended up, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. I was close enough to retirement with all of my points from TVA that they ended up having to make me whole. So I got all of my credit that I needed to retire on. So it ended up being a perfect opportunity for me, but it also saved someone else a job. So that worked out really well. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Stacy.